You're listening to Real Estate for Real People, hosted by the Stone Sisters. The Stone Sisters have built an award-winning realty business, and they're here to share some of their knowledge with you. A new episode drops every Thursday. If you enjoy the show, please share it with a friend and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And visit www.stonesisters.com for more information just like this.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us again for another episode of Real Estate for Real People. So Tamara and I are going to talk about the market. And more importantly, we're going to talk about
the sweet spot in the market.
And there is a sweet spot in the market. There absolutely is. You know, it's funny because you look at the market and everybody's talking doom and gloom and that sort of thing. And when you run the numbers, there sort of seems to be two areas in the marketplace that are sort of the sweet spot. And I'll let you talk about one because you were just running the stats on one segment.
Yeah, one segment that's really performing exceptionally well and it did last month and all signs indicate the first 10 days of October that again, it's going to perform really well is the ultra luxury, I'm going to call it. So luxury home in Kelowna, typically they say the definition of luxury is double the price of your average home. So average home right now is a little under $1 million in Kelowna. So luxury market would be 1.9 million. I'm going to call it the ultra luxury because that's over 3 million. And maybe the super ultra luxury, if that's even a phrase, would be over 5 million. So last month, the month of September of 2022, there were 5 properties that sold between $3 and $4 million. And then an additional 5 properties that sold between $5 and $10 million.
Now in August, was there any houses that sold over that?
Zero. No properties over 3 million in central Okanagan sold over 3 million in the month of August, and then a good backlog and a good supply of 10 that had sold in, 2 of them were at 9 million, one at 8.
What's so interesting, and I don't mean to interrupt, but what's so interesting is just that we have 10 properties over that price point.
Yes.
That are on the market, and we have more than 10 properties. I mean, I think some people look and think, even our mom, she'll sometimes look at a property we have and she'll say, how much is that?
No.
It's like $5 million?
Yeah, Mom got her real estate license here in Kelowna in 1988. Yeah. Average house price when I got in 1995, I try and remember, was about $106,000.
Yeah, it was like 160 when I remember looking at a house for 160 when I got it.
Yeah.
So it must have been 80 or something for Mom.
For Mom, it was about 80,000. So to even comprehend that we have homes that are not just listed at 5 million, but are selling at 5 million, and not just one, but
10.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Another area of the market that we saw perform well was that, and we sort of assume that it's going to, is that 800 to 900,000. So fewer sales under 800,000. There was actually fewer sales between 9 and $1 million. And a lot of that's based on just the supply of inventory. But single family homes, there were 28 that sold between 800 and 900. So that's below the average house price. And when you look at those 28, only 8 of those houses had suites.
Wow.
So it's not investment properties or income generating properties that are selling really well in that market. It's small family houses. So
it's just encouraging, I think. I think the perception out there for both our local listeners as well as people from out of town is that you can't get anything for less than $1 million. So, and yet last month there were 28.
28 just between 800 and 900. That was sort of where we had the most sales. 28 houses sold in that last month. So when you look at that, that's pretty amazing. And to also see that only 8 of them had suites, because a lot of people have been talking about, everybody needs to have a suite to qualify in the market, and that's what people were really looking for. I certainly think to some degree that's true. But when we look at those houses, on average, the average price actually in that realm was about $850. 2,000 square feet is the average square footage.
Wow.
And they're all family style houses, just smaller.
Now, in your opinion, Shannon, because you looked at the details of these, how much were those worth, say, at the peak of the market? March of this year, I think was right before things started to soften.
They probably would have been $950.
Wow.
So 100 more. That 850 would have been 950.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
that's probably over $1 million, but
still to see that. And that's sort of true to what we're seeing in the statistics and seeing average price down, 10%, some segments more, some segments less.
But what's, overall looking at that, I think it's so fascinating to see that the high end, the ultra luxury and the ultra luxury, we're going to call it.
Yeah.
Those segments of the market are doing really well. To me, that shows confidence in the market.
I would agree because, if you can afford $9 million on a home, and these are just sales that are going through MLS, by the way, because I think when we get to that ultra segment of the market, a lot of those sales are quietly done with no fanfare, and both the seller and buyer want that kept private. But I think when somebody can afford a home that's in that price point, if they thought the market was going to get worse, if they thought prices would soften, they're people with substantial means and substantial knowledge and insight, one would think. And if they thought it would get worse, they wouldn't be buying, and we wouldn't see as many of these sales.
And they would probably, wouldn't be buying, but they'd be waiting because thinking that property is not going to be going anywhere. Necessarily. Right. So they would wait to see if they could get it at a different price or what have you. So it's interesting that they're not waiting. They're jumping in and jumping in before the winter months, before interest rates change or anything like that.
Right. So. It's, they always say that you don't know you've hit the bottom of the market, of any market, stock market, the real estate market. You don't know you've hit bottom until you're past it and it started on the upswing again. And it's, who knows? My crystal ball still hasn't come back from the repair shop. It's still not working the way it should.
How did it work before for you?
Well, it's actually never worked, but
we'll be honest.
Interesting as well that, my perception was always that the sort of the key times to do really well, to get a screaming buy on a home, were in the winter months. We're in November, December, January. Because yes, there's less supply. You don't have as many people who want their house for sale in the middle of winter. Those that do tend to be pretty serious.
It's true.
They are on the market for a reason and they want to sell.
Yeah, and it's funny because it is a really good time actually to list your home because you do have those serious buyers. You're not going to have as many showings, but you're going to have those serious buyers coming through.
Which is nice, and I think part of that is our climate. I mean, we're middle of October and the weather is fantastic. We're not wearing winter coats. People are still wearing shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah.
And that's true in many parts of the country. I think overall it's, climate change, it's warmer.
Yes.
But when it's winter in Winnipeg, 4 of our realtors are from Winnipeg, so I'm allowed to say it. they can't believe the climate. They all moved here for lifestyle and weather and absolutely love it. No.
So. Well, I think if you have any other questions with regards to the market or would like some different stats, we're happy to sort of look at those and analyze them. Tamara and I sit down quite often and analyze and look at the stats of the market. So
we like to look for what we call, between each other or sharing with our brokerage is insider information. We like to, we've all got access to the statistics on the real estate market. Our real estate office, Remax, puts them out and everybody is out sharing those widely on social media. We like to look a little deeper or look in different areas or try and find something that you might not be able to find on your own. And we love to share that. So
please feel free to reach out anytime. And thank you so much for tuning in again.